Hi, y'all. I'm Cash, and today I'd like to talk to you about where ideas for musical theater come from. What makes a story work on the stage? What makes it conducive to song? Well, as a student of the arts and a lifelong lover of Broadway, I can confidently say I have no clue. Anything can work in the genre of musical theater just as much as anything can fail. There is no idea too silly for the stage, just as there is no idea too sure to fail. Therefore, it is not a matter of finding an idea that is meant for the stage, rather, it's about finding an idea that is meant for you, the composer. The thing is that this requires either a lot of introspection or blind dumb luck. With some composers, like Andrew Lloyd Webber, it's fairly obvious what their niche is. Big, grandiose stories with bittersweet endings featuring a lead soprano yearning for something more. With others, it's a little less obvious, but still identifiable. Sondheim found his inspiration in the interpersonal relationships with unlikely leads that other playwrights would often shy away from, such as older women, felons, and other outcasts from society. The reason I choose Andrew Lloyd Webber and Sondheim as my two examples here is because they're both fixtures in the modern theater with decades-long careers that have remained fairly consistent. Despite having a massive body of work, each of them have stayed the path. Now, if we look at a relative newcomer to the scene, Lin-Manuel Miranda, it's harder to find a common thread woven through his works since comparatively there are so few. The stories of people of color or immigrants aspiring to a dream to better their community, their world. A trend seems to be emerging in his stuff, but we'll see how it develops. Now, if you came here for advice, I'm sorry, but I don't have any. Not about this, anyways. If you are looking for an idea, I recommend going to see a therapist or perhaps locking yourself in a library for 6 months or so. I only have my own story of how I discovered my niche in order to develop my ideas, so I'll share that anecdote with you. Before I realized that it wasn't about what's on the stage, but what's in my heart, God, that sounds corny. I looked for ideas freaking everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. Like watching a children's cartoon, could it be a musical? Listening to a true crime podcast, ooh, there's a musical there somewhere, I'm sure. Reading a fantasy novel, that's gotta be a musical. You get my point. In college, I probably started around 24 or so different projects, and I finished 2 of them. The first one was a Greek tragedy. The story itself was a romance, but it was a tragedy. And the second one was a failure. It was so much of a failure that I felt I could no longer write. Depression is a hell of a thing. But little did I know that a series of events was already in motion, such that I would not be bereft of that motivation for much longer. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, I don't remember exactly how old I was. My parents took me to see, I believe, the touring production of Les Miserables. I was absolutely enamored by it. Not by Cosette, even though I was about her age, and my mom desperately wanted me to learn the song Castle on a Cloud. No, I loved Madame Thénardier, and I sang her little bit in Master of the House like constantly, except I replaced the word shit with shrimp. That was the beginning of my love of theater. I didn't realize that I wanted to be a part of things until high school, when in my sophomore year they announced that the show we would be doing was Sweeney Todd. I had never heard of this show before. I had no idea what I was in for when I went and watched the original Broadway cast recording. It blew my mind and opened the floodgates. It was around this time too that my dad and I began to bond over horror movies and true crime documentaries. I don't remember exactly when that began, but I do remember being utterly entranced by Dario Argento's Suspiria, and thinking, wow, he makes everything, the mundane, the horrible, the disgusting, just beautiful. I wanted to see through his Technicolor eyes. When I graduated from undergrad with degrees in music and math, my mother had a great graduation gift for me. She wrote to all of my heroes, and a lot of them wrote back. And she gifted me their words of congratulations, support, and advice. And I got amazing letters from authors, from politicians, from scientists, and from Lin-Manuel Miranda. I hear you're quite the Hamilton fan. Your support truly means the world. Please accept my warmest congratulations on your recent graduation. As you bravely face the obstacles life throws your way, remember that adversity can only make you a better person and an even better artist. Pursue your passion relentlessly. Siempre, Lin-Manuel Miranda. I graduated in 2017. I'm looking at my degrees on the wall. And it was at the very height of the Hamilton craze. And I knew very little about Lin-Manuel Miranda except that I loved Hamilton. And so did Sondheim. When I got this letter, I immediately drove to the art store to get a frame to preserve it. And as soon as I got to the art store parking lot, I was listening to the Hamilton soundtrack, and it turned to my shot, and I just broke down in tears. I thought it was because I was giving up, but it wasn't. Deep down, it was because I knew he was right. I would pursue my passion. I just needed a little time and a little push. 2 years earlier, in 2015, my dad told me the story of the creation of Frankenstein. The summer at the Villa Diodati in the year 1816, he pointed out that Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, was only 19 when she wrote it. I was going to be 19 the following year, 2016, which happened to be the 200th anniversary of Frankenstein's composition. And wouldn't it be just so poetic if I were to write an adaptation of her story, the story of the creation of Frankenstein, quite literally, at the same age that she wrote her creation story? And thus began the itch. But I wasn't ready yet. Something about this idea, this story, Mary's story, it called to me in a way no other idea had. I was drawn to her time and time again, even when I had no plans to write ever again. I pursued research on her writing, her contemporaries, everything they read and wrote. I wanted to know her. Through her, I began to know myself. Last year, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and I was hit by a car while biking to work. And this was all in the span of a month. And suddenly, that last piece just clicked into place. The confrontation of my own mortality. Also a severe concussion. I don't remember deciding to buckle down and finally write the damn thing. I don't remember writing it. I don't remember my birthday, my dad's treatment. I don't remember a lot of things, but I do remember that feeling of lucidity, fleeting as it was, whenever I thought of my work. Obviously, I started therapy to deal with the massive trauma that I was going through. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what makes me me. I began to connect the dots, and I realized that my life, privileged as it has been clouded by tragedies and hurt. And I want to tell the stories of women who find themselves in places with unhappy endings, especially when their demise is of their own doing. I know that's not quite the feel-good, inspirational story all we're hoping for, but it's what I got It's what I am and it's what I write. I think that's about all for this video. If you want to know more about my personal history as a musician, I've got a video on that somewhere. And if you'd like to hear a song from my last musical, there's a video on that too. I hope you guys can relate, or rather, I really hope you can't. I hope you all lead happy, lovely lives with no trauma whatsoever. Thanks for watching so much. And if you'd like to know more about my upcoming projects and join me on the creation of my next musical, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the little bell so that you're notified next time I post a video, as I will be chronicling the full journey of my next show from creation to production right here on YouTube.